Unemployment is an old man, so that's the whole trick is old.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm with Jerry. That smack while they eat.
Definitely psycho.
Like it's something that
So I started like when I was 15. I started hustling, trying to make some money. But I started
saying that y'all know about these benches, but she didn't say benches.
No, she said it.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome to another episode of Apartment 4A. Fellas, how y'all doing?
Doing good, man.
Blessed and highly flavored since Bishop Theo's on here. Gotta put my religious hat on.
Speaking of wonderful guest, and because he is family to all of us, but especially blood to one of us, we're gonna give him the honors to introduce our special guest. This time I'm not gonna play around with the camera like I did last time, and we'll just kind of throw it in there for there. So, Mr. Kelly, I hand it over to you.
Yes, sir. Today we have an esteemed guest, somebody who's near and dear to my heart. My cousin. He's a community leader, a motivational speaker, wonderful father, husband, friend, and just a lover of people. Theo Schaffer in the building. What's going on, cousin?
Man, thanks so much for that crazy introduction. Cash app you. Gang. Phone.
I appreciate it.
Voice. Yeah. To all my bros, man. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm excited. Can't wait to share and just unpack with y'all, man. I'm proud of what y'all are doing. This is good. So appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. JP just made it to the house. What's good, bro?
Man, awesome, man. Excited. Happy to hear Theo speak and share his wisdom. And man, just great week this week. Just a great week, you know. Just feeling good this week. Just a great week so far.
That's good.
Here we go.
You feeling good? So let's go ahead and get that out the way. Go ahead and get into the show. Football. We are here. We are at the conference championships. First off, the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Terrence Taylor, Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Couldn't quite pull it off from Joe Burrow, you know. He the man, he got the confidence of the world. So, you know, he got it done. Even though in the snow, he was on fire.
He was.
And then you have the red hot, I don't know how, I don't know why, third string quarterback still winning football games. 49er beat them boys, the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, and I'm not even upset. They beat them. I appreciate that.
So you had to get your get back, huh?
One and only JP team. He's the 49er fans, you know. Even though he switched teams every other year.
Hey,
go ahead.
faithful to the Bay, baby. We ready to rock, baby. Let's go. Bird season. We don't say the other team name. Just show me my opponent. We respect our opponent. Let's go. Let's get it.
Show him his opponent. Well, I'm going to say it. The 49ers are going to Philadelphia to play the Philadelphia Eagles for the NFC Championships. And we have a rematch in the AFC Championship of the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Kansas City Chiefs. So we shall see. My wife's an Eagle fan, so she told me to tell you, good luck, JP. I'm gonna stay out of that game because she's my wife, so I'm just gonna let that be what it be.
Well, Rod, don't forget you got to go to sleep at night. So I understand.
Since this episode is about being a manhood in our mental state, I probably will be cheering for the Eagles.
Wisdom.
There you go. Exactly.
now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and jump directly into our episode. This is Manhood Part 2, and this is the episode where we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into what a man is and kind of the state of a man today from a mental, spiritual, and physical health standpoint. So Theo, you weren't on before, so we're gonna give you this opportunity to kind of start us off.
Okay.
What is your definition of a man? We kind of did this last week, and a lot of us talked about a lot of different things. And I'm not gonna give you nothing because I want you to give your own definition. So, what's your definition of a man?
Well, you know, that's the hot topic in the culture today. What is a man, right? What is a woman?
Yeah.
A man is a male born. You guys know the chromosomes. Is a male. I don't know. I think I just said male again. I think I said it twice. But what a man should be, what a man was destined to be or designed to be, is someone that loves, provides, protects, and is a physical embodiment, and even outside of religious context, of creation, something that can steward. That's what a man should be, and nobody else can be a man but a man. So I just leave it right there. I don't know if that was eloquent enough, but I don't know. Take a jab at it. So yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we're not that fancy, man.
Yeah,
that worked for us.
I ain't gonna lie. I felt a little pressure. I was like, "What's a man like?" I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes we throw them out there. We had to make us think a little bit.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting too, fam, because we know what a man isn't.
Yeah.
Right. We know, and I have a term called honey punk. It was adopted by what's up, cuz? It was adopted by my homeboy Wop out of Hattiesburg, one of my YMCA guys, and a honey punk is the opposite of a man, right? Just doesn't have any girth about them, any purpose, but passing as if they have it, right? That's a honey punk, right? And sometimes our favorite athletes play like honey punks, like AD for my Lakers.
Oh man, started on that.
I'm sorry. I'm a Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan, Ryan. We Lakers now. Gotta call it spade.
Yeah, die hard. Yeah.
I've been saying for almost 2 years now we should have traded AD.
Yeah, he peaked. He peaked in the bubble.
We should
in the bubble. Yeah, that's the best he gonna get.
But we totally agree, man. A man is a man, and that's what it is. And I know there's a lot of politically correct sayings out there or whatever, and we get it. But at the end of the day, a man is a man. I mean, there's some qualities that we all like them to have, but biologically, and then you can do or say about it, man.
Right.
So one of the other questions that we asked, these would be the two, and then we just kind of roll with it. One of the things that we talked about was at what point, like what age or what point does a boy begin his transition to becoming a man? For example, like some may say 18, some may say once he enters college, some may say 16. I think we talked about when a person first get his first job and establish some responsibilities. But in your opinion, when does a man starts his transition? I mean, when does a boy starts his transition to a man?
I think that's a good question. Instead of saying when does a boy become a man, but when does they start the transition? I think when they reach a mental place where they understand responsibilities pragmatically, right? Any boy can wash a car, clean a house, get a job, but understanding that I have a responsibility to the people around me. I have a responsibility to myself, and my decisions affect those people. So my responsibilities are pragmatic. There's a reason why I'm doing them. I have intent. I have purpose. I have to do this. For example, It could be my adopted brother who saw his dad leave his mom, and he had to grow up fast and learn how to take care of the house and get a job while going to school. Or my older brother, Ladrick, who's one of my closest friends, and my big brother, who had to grow up fast because we lost our mom when he was a preteen. And I seen him get kicked out of our house by my father. We don't have the same dad. And he had to come back to Mississippi as an emancipated 15-year-old, 16-year-old. And he had to hustle. He had to sell dope. He had to sell drugs. And his drug money kept the lights on, kept food on the table while my dad was out in the streets. And he had a child young. So he transitioned out of circumstance, but he understood his responsibilities. He wasn't out there just doing it. And so I believe that's when you see that transition. And I also, as a caveat to that statement, like I said, I wasn't going to teach you guys an experience. I think that's why it's so important for us as fathers or uncles of young sons or young men to steward and protect their innocence as much as we can, because the world isn't going to pull any punches. Life isn't going to pull any punches. And, men, we really don't stop. We don't start developing our minds until 25, technically, or biologically. But even that, y'all know, as men, we're still growing up. We're still figuring stuff out. We're still getting comfortable in our own skin and getting to a place of acceptance. And I'll probably talk about that later, but acceptance of who we are. And that journey doesn't end, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree, man. I think everybody kind of hit it on the head. It's really that state of the mind of responsibility for not just others, but also for yourself. I think a lot of times we get caught up into, and we was talking about this today at work and even at Bible study about what the next person is doing. But, that man would really start to figure out what he's doing himself. That's when that transition begins. It's not so much about the next person, but about that person himself. So, yeah, most definitely. Eric, Terrence, JP, anybody want to add on?
I just want to say I like the common thread of understanding and acknowledging responsibility and the impact it has on other people around you. I think that's a good synopsis of a man. I think when you look at examples of men that kind of exemplify that, that's what they're doing for people around them, and that's why they garner respect or the type of attention that they garner is because they are kind of being intentional about being responsible for the things that they've been given. I like that.
Yeah, and that's what we said last week. Taking responsibility, not just taking responsibility, but understanding that responsibility. I think Theo, you added that part to it as an understanding why you're doing this and understanding how it's affecting other people. That's why you do it, and you do it to their standard. So I completely agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going along with that, this was a question that I had on my list last week, but I didn't ask it. So today, in everyone's opinion, and I probably blow everybody up to do this, what is the state of the man today? We all say that man is somebody who responsible, that takes that responsibility, that's a provider, that's a steward of strength, mentally, spiritually, physically, someone who is a protector. So with that being said, knowing who you are, what you feel a man is, how you grew up, and the examples of men that you had, good or bad, what is the state of the man? More importantly, what's the state of the African-American man today?
Facts.
So whoever wants first.
I'll jump into it. I think the state of the man is that it's under the whole ideal of man is being under attack, as in especially the African American man, as in it's always right now is at the point where you have to defend your stance or your beliefs, especially if it's biblically based, and they attack you by attacking your belief, and if they can destroy your beliefs or destroy your ideal, they can slowly start destroying you. That foundation of what a man is is crumbling upon under us. So with that foundation being crumbled, you don't see as many men leading their families, leading themselves, leading their friends. So I think it's under attack.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm still not 100% certain if it's as pervasive as it appears, just because social media and you know tends to skew things. Social media make you feel like everybody's doing this, when really it's a few loud people that are doing it. Um, just thinking about like my immediate circle, people I talk to, nobody adheres to the whole, you can be whatever you want to be. Like maybe it's because I'm in the South still, but like a man is a man. And if you a man and you show up looking different, nobody I know is gonna be like, oh well, that's normal. Like no, they're gonna be like, that's weird or that's crazy. So still not sure how pervasive it is, but it's definitely, those ideals are being pushed um, pretty hard as far as just accepting anything, being anything. Like if you want to be a man tomorrow and a woman the next day, like you can do that. There's no difference there. Everybody's the same. Everybody's capable of everything. Um, I mean, it's definitely crazy. But as far as being black men, I think it's detrimental because we are just getting to a point where we're in a position where we're safe enough to start kind of unpacking just being a black man in America from a mental health standpoint. And you have all this other stuff distracting from that, right? Because we're just getting to a point where we can say as black men, well, I love you to another black man, or, I'm hurt, or I'm depressed, or I'm sad, and still identify and feel like we're a man just feeling feelings. But then you also have people telling like, well, like you can't say that you're a man, or you can't determine if somebody's a man or a woman, so it's definitely confusing.
Yeah. Let me I'm gonna jump in and y'all give me a second. I'm what you call a synergist or a verbal processor. A lot of times I'm in the future, so when I'm speaking in present, it'll take me a minute. Some of y'all might be the same way. You really better understand something once you get it out, right? It's like so, but I kind of lean towards with Dr. Taylor. Um, we're not only under attack, but the strategy I have since perceived, interpreted, and seen in the life of men, and what I'm discerning in our culture in our time, is the identity is being attacked, and the office of a man is being attacked. And this is what I mean, and I'll even articulate from like an African American lens, right? If you look at Jim Crow laws, or if you look at the ramifications of slavery, or even the kind of the spiritual ramifications of slavery. Give you an example, like there's a mom, as a field slave, and her and her son are in the field. The boy's daddy isn't in the field because the dad got sold off, right? And the white master comes over and says, "That's a mighty fine boy you got there." And she says, "No, master, he's stupid, he's slow." Right? And the truth is, he's not stupid, he's not slow, he's brilliant, he's very smart, he's created, by God. But she is saying these things to attack him. I mean, she's saying these things to protect him. She wants the master to perceive that he's not worth selling, right? So she hurts him to protect him, right? And we see that come up in when a strong mom, strong grandmother, or strong dad are more verbally abusive because of their history and what happened. And they have these habits of being emotionally traumatic in the life of a young boy that become a man, because they're thinking that they're protecting them, but they're damaging them, and then that never gets healed, right, or never gets triaged, and so that boy then becomes a man. When you think about the way the America was set up, right, even with Section 8 housing, which we all benefited from, there are certain laws written into the policies where you couldn't have a man in the house, right? You look at the statistics with prison incarceration, high male, right? And if you look at some of the and I'm be careful how I say this. If you look at some of the innuendos and the narratives concerning men, how quickly we get labeled for being misogynistic, how quickly words or trigger words like submissive, if a woman is being submissive or submitting to her husband. And if you look at how the role of the man is marketed versus the role of the woman, fight for equal rights, equal pay, the whole nine. And then the welcoming of the transgender community, and and all of those things. It's the same parallel similar to in sports debates or sports talk shows. Like, to talk about how great LeBron is, you got to talk about how bad somebody else is. No, two people can be equally great, and it's this principle of in order for us to uplift women or uplift another community, we have to marginalize the man, minimize his impact, minimize his role in the life of young people, in the life of children, and then two, to almost minimize the office of the man, what he stands for, right? Even outside religious context, the caveman, mankind, was there to have his club, go get the food and kill and bring it back to the cave from a fundamental standpoint, and even that's being attacked. And so if we're not careful, we're going to lose the reverence for that place, because the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, and I mean this with love, we are not equal. We're not equal, and that's okay. We're not supposed to be. So that's mine.
Yeah, I totally agree with all you guys, man. I think, some of it is a contradiction, because a lot of people ask for a man to be one thing, and then when it's time to be that, it's like, but no, I want you to be traditional too. It's like, I want you to be a upgraded traditional man. It's like, wait a second, you want me to transition to the modern world, but you also want me to be traditional. Everybody else, every other thing gets to transition, gets to transform into this new being, but they want the man to stay consistent but move at the same time. And so it's hard, man. And for me, one thing that I would use is scary, because for me, I find myself trying to make sure that I'm the example, because I have a son, and I want him to understand from my eyes what a man should be, but at the same time, I don't want him to get that necessary from anybody. I mean, you guys are my family, and I know the values and things that you have, so I don't mind him looking up to you guys as other men. But I can't say that for everybody else. What I perceive as being a man, somebody else somewhere else may be like, nah, that ain't it, little man, you need to do this. And I just don't want my son to be getting bad habits because of other people conforming to, whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Theo, you kind of want to take something that you said, not being equal. I think that's been, just that term has been demonized, because like really at its core, not equal means it's not the same, and men and women are not the same.
Right.
That's great. Like, we both have strengths and both have weaknesses in different areas, and the combination of those two things is what makes for a strong family. And I think when you start attacking people for being different, or acknowledging those differences, like, you really kind of hurt the family. I know I heard someone say that men and women's shoulders are different because they're built to carry different loads. Right. So the mother or the woman, her load is different. Not that it's less important or easier, but it's different than the load the man carries. And the same for his load. His load is different. It's not easier or harder. It's different. Right. But you need both people to carry their loads that they're designed to carry, because if I'm the man and I'm trying to nurture, or you have the woman who's trying to, provide and protect, you have people that are out of their natural element. Throws the balance off. Men and women both possess masculine and feminine energies, but they're not equal, right? The man has more masculine, the woman has more feminine. You get that out of whack, then it kind of throws everybody off. You throw kids in the mix, now they're confused, right? Because you're setting an example, like Rod said. It definitely has a trickle down effect, and it's something that something I think is going to be critical in trying to define and set the example for in our families, because it's confusing.
Yeah.
Like Rod said, if you let your kids just watch anybody, it might not be as extreme as transgender situation or anything like that, but just that balance being off, can even cause problems.
Right.
And Eric, I want to piggyback off what you said too, what you just said. To answer Rod's question, where are we? I agree. Everything's out of whack because, just piggyback off of what Theo said, we normalize it. We're normalized. We're trying to make it right, okay, for fathers to be out the homes, for single parents, for guys to not work, to find get rich schemes. We're getting out of, everything's out of whack from what we were designed to do from the beginning, which was, like everybody's saying, being a leader, going to work. Like y'all were talking about the shoulders, right? Everybody, that's the sin of man. Everybody have their lane, everybody have their roles of responsibility. But, by us getting out of whack and pushing everything, left, that's what we're struggling with, if that makes any sense. So the role of a male now is just out of whack. Endangered species, I think somebody put up.
Yeah. Demetrius said that. And we appreciate everybody for taking some time out and being with us. But he was the one that put in the comment about endangered species. Continue to comment, man. Men and women alike. To share kind of what you think. This is kind of an open forum, and so we appreciate you guys for taking some time to be with us. But with the state of a man and how we come in, how does that look for us now mentally? If you think about when you think about us being mental creatures, and especially going through feelings and things of that nature, and especially how men express their feelings, let's say in the 80s and the 90s versus the 2000s and the 10s, and how's that changing, and especially with us having to go through all these different barriers and things of the day. How do you think we are, man, or how are you mentally? Or Theo, especially with you being a life coach and a pastor, what are you out there as you speak to men that come in and talk to you? What is the thing that you see that kind of stand out on the mental state of the man?
All right, I love it. This is my soapbox, my passion area. This is something that we engage in every day. I guess the state of it is I'm thankful for an awakening. I'm thankful that in the last 10 years, we've been able to normalize and also empower pursuing mental health. Now, there's nothing that happens in America that's not for profit. America is not a country, it's a company, first of all. So creating another industry of health is advantageous to the multi-billion-dollar healthcare industry, right? Let's just get that out the way, right? Because mental health used to be something that was not celebrated, but now it is because it's profit to it. More so in the African American community, we never had the luxury or the privilege of getting resources or getting support or getting help. And so again, I speak to the spiritual ramifications of slavery. It didn't just imprison us financially or physically, but also mentally and spiritually, because even in our religious communities of faith, regardless of what denomination you are, in the African American community, we hyper spiritualized for generations. We pray about it, pray through it, just keep going. And we have trauma, things God did not design for the human mind and eyes to see or go through. Excuse me. And we just swept it under the rug. Abuses, violence, terrible, terrible things that happened, and we didn't have a safe space to deal with it. What I see in men today is an awakening because you're able to recognize something's not right. I'm not okay. It is not just me. And with the advent of technology and so many more avenues you can go as an entrepreneur, don't sound ignorant when I say the word, you can now create your own niche, your own lane, which causes you to have more engagements socially with people, which causes different conversations that have deviations from them. And the more you engage another human being, the more you talk, the more you engage in different activities, the more you explore what's inside of you. And we're noticed like, yo, why am I feeling this way? Something's wrong. Or if I'm acting this way, or if I'm treating a loved one this way, if I'm behaving this way, something's off. Oh, okay. like I've learned in my therapy sessions with my therapist. Oh, that's internalization. Okay. That's negative projection. Okay. I'm hyper vigilant. Okay, this is anxiety. Got you. And I can track where it's coming from. Men now, especially men in our generation that are 30 to early 40s, pushing 50, we're more aware and we're more embracive of pursuing our health and our wellness so we can be better. And the biggest inspiration for that is for our families. I do counsel and pray for the older generation, a lot of those guys that are 55, 60 and up, because they came up under a generation where you got your lunch pail and you went to work, right? You just went to work, right? Or they came home from war and try to have a modicum of a regular family. And then our parents, y'all, our generation's parents, those are the ones that valued education. Go to college, do this and the third, but never really dealt with their issues. So men are having an awakening, and they're having more resources and more communities to find support and get right. I'll talk about some stuff that I'm doing later on. Can't wait to share, but I'm gonna just stop right there, grab some water. I feel like I'm smoking crack over here. And, yeah, to the question.
Yeah, we kind of speak to that a little bit earlier before the show started, and we was talking a little bit about feelings. And Eric, you had a real good example. I don't know if you want to share that again, but I think it shared. It was really good to play on kind of how the feelings thing went.
Yeah, I don't consider myself to be a macho guy or anything like that, but definitely growing up, it was kind of expressed to me that as a man, especially as a black man, you feel two feelings. You feel happy and you feel mad. And that's it. That's all you get to express, right? You express that you sad, that's weakness. You depressed, that's weakness. You know, any other feelings, are a pathway to, vulnerability and weakness. And so I got really good at not only feeling only those two feelings, but I ended up making my feelings and my actions synonymous. So if I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing, right? If I'm acting happy, then I must be happy, right? I'm fine. And it wasn't until we started couples therapy, and my therapist started asking about how I was feeling, right? Bringing it to the forefront. And, for me, I was like, well, I'm always even keeled, I'm, the same guy all the time. He's like, yeah, but how do you feel? How did it make you feel? And he pulled out this chart, and the chart had probably about like 40 different little faces on it, and each of them with different feelings. I was like, well, right now I'm confused. Who's the squiggly? That's the squiggly face on there. Because I don't know what all these other things are that you're talking about that are feelings. And it's like frustrated and anxious and, all these things that I was feeling, but I didn't even have the emotional intelligence to recognize, let alone, process and properly communicate to my wife or to anybody else. Yeah. And so that journey to, like Theo was saying, be able to, understand your feelings and not even necessarily control them, but just take responsibility for them and communicate them properly, and allow the people that are close to you, allow yourself to be open with them and help them understand you a little bit better. Like my journey with emotions and feelings, and also retaining my manhood has been life-changing.
Yeah. JP Terrence, what do you think about your mental state, and especially showing feelings today? or how it different from now to before?
Just like Eric, I learned that in counseling, um, I went through counseling after getting back from Iraq years later. I probably should went right after I got back, but I didn't. It took a while to go after things started falling apart around me, and my purpose was going was to show that I'm trying, not to try, but to show that I'm trying to be better. And while there, it snuck up on me that, you know what, I probably need to try to get better. But as I was there talking to the counselor, she was like, "How are you feeling right now?" My key word was, "I'm fine." Right. He said, "But this doesn't make you mad. This doesn't make you sad. It doesn't make you all these other things." I said, "Yeah, those things affect me, but I like to show that I'm okay." She said, "Even though you're showing that you're okay, you're still feeling those feelings, and you need to understand why you're feeling those feelings." And when she said that, it was like my like a key open up in my brain. Like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So it's not all about just how you appear to be, but it's ultimately how you are. And then once you can identify how you are, you can try to deal with being that way. And so now I'm on a journey of not just trying to look okay, but I want to feel okay too. Yeah. And I think we are able, we have the ability, and we be able to feel okay, not just look okay.
Facts. Yeah. Facts.
Right. JP, I know you got the little man with it. And one thing I wanted to say about JP and the little man, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but I just feel like, JP, at least some point, at the end of the show or during the show, he let the little man come see all the fellas. And I feel like it's a good thing for him to see, if he up, he can see some black guys kind of doing something positive. Facts. It's not always, these guys playing basketball or throwing a football or, trying to rap. These guys are just out here having a conversation. Yeah. They always come on and speak and everything. So it's always good to see little Junior. Yeah. My little man be asleep, so he got to go to sleep. But JP, I don't know if you chime in anything.
He just like to stay woke. And he comes over here on his own, so he wants to get in on the conversation as well. And I think he's gonna try to hang up on a minute, but all right. But just like Dimitri just said, it mentally it imprisoned us. I know I feel in prison and as an emotional wreck because you was always, like everybody was taught, no matter how you feel, always walk around with a smile, always be happy, always be proud, but in the end, that's murder. You killing yourself. What's this mommy do? Mm-hmm. That's murder. You killing yourself. And as a man, we're taught not to embrace those feelings, and that's the wrong way to do it. So, the mental state that we are, and that's another thing. We don't have enough men saying it's okay, man. It's okay to cry. It's okay to vent. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to not know the way or the answer right now. Because nobody told us how to express ourselves that way. I'm just speaking on my side. So like Theo was saying earlier, while you growing, you finding yourself, you find a way. Well, once we find the golden ticket, the golden nugget, my thing is now, boom, I got to turn around and give it back. Because if we don't give it back, then the same group of people that's behind us will go through this, go through the same cycle over and over again. So, absolutely. So I think, like you said, I've mentally been in prison due to emotions. And, like I said, probably within 8, 9, 10 years ago, when it's a process, just coming out, trying to be able to, okay, cry, okay, talk, okay, okay to show all that good affection. Yeah. So Yeah, we behind. as males, black men, we're behind. We're behind big time.
Yeah.
So can I respond to JP?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all in for like 3 minutes. You know, preachers are long-winded. Preachers are
Hey, you
long-winded.
get respond only if you're not a Cowboy fan.
I'm not a Cowboys fan. Y'all indulge me, man. This is a passion of mine. Like, this is everything to me. And I didn't in the beginning of the podcast like give an introduction to all that I do. But let me give you the story so I can qualify everything that I'm saying tonight. And so hopefully I have another chance to share with you guys some of the things we're doing in the life of men, and invite so many others who are enjoying this podcast and you guys to be a part of that. All right. And Eric knows most of the story, but he may not have ever heard me tell it with this context. All right. Just to JP's point. Because and the point that JP made was we didn't have that before. We didn't have that model. Right. So my beautiful parents, Gail Kelly Schaffer and T Schaffer, Theopolis the second, they were doing really, really good for a black family in southern Mississippi in the 80s. Until the summer of 1993, mom got killed in a tragic car accident, right? Shook our whole family, the whole family. Nothing was the same. I saw my father, who wore dreadlocks, was a proud African-American man. He was a king, wearing ties at work every day. I saw him succumb to his own demons because he was abused as a child, as a kid. And he saw gang violence. He saw corruption. He saw trauma, and it just got, bandaged up. And he even was dishonorably discharged from the military, and he was a wreck. He really was. But my mom, who became his wife, she was his rock. And so when she passed tragically, you saw this beautiful king implode. He became addicted to drugs. He wouldn't come home for days. He would be in the streets. Most times he'd be allergic, having to pay our bills. He did his best to take care of us, but how can he don't know how to raise two little bad boys? He doesn't know how to father them because mama was everything, and he didn't have a father in his life because Theopolis the first. He didn't. My grandfather didn't really grow up until later on in his life when he had his other family. He became a better man then. And so I watched my father implode, hate the world, and then turn on us. Every day he would threaten to kill us. He would cock a .380 pistol and put it on a china cabinet. So every morning for breakfast, we're being emotionally and verbally abused. And that's where my anxiety came from, was this idea that he's going to kill me. I didn't stop having nightmares about him killing me until I was 33. But we didn't understand at the time. I didn't understand demonic forces that he was channeling inside the home. I didn't understand trauma. It was just normal. We didn't talk about it. It was just a thing. He would threaten to kill us every day and night. And then he gave us up for adoption, right? And that is rejection. That's abandonment, and all those things, because he couldn't handle the weight of fathering. And at the time, I get adopted by my aunt and uncle first, and to my uncle Rob, my aunt Aretha. They did the best job they could, but it was a lot. It was too much. And I began to have what I know now to be panic attacks and anxiety attacks. I didn't know at the time when I couldn't breathe. My chest and my throat would clog up, and I couldn't control my thoughts. And I was 11, 12, 13 years old. I ended up going to my best friend's house, who was a white boy named Ryan. And his mom ended up adopting me. And a lot of people in my family, they don't understand that story. They probably have judged that story. But at the time, I was battling suicidal ideation. Suicidal ideation is a fascination with how to die and wanting to die. I remember going to bed 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, fantasizing about my death, how I want to die. I would be so depressed and so enamored with my death that I would be surprised when I woke up the next day. I would be surprised that I woke up. A lot of people don't know this because I was always a charismatic, smiling, outgoing, fun guy. I was always a leader of people. And but yeah, I was immensely damaged. I had my first panic attack, like I said, in Purvis, Mississippi, and so years went by. I gave my life to Christ. I got in the ministry and all that, and that gave me structure. But I started experiencing what we call spiritual abuse. That's when men and women who want to manage you or control you use it from a spiritual connotation to get you to do what they want you to do. And whether they mean well or they didn't know they were doing it, they still did it. And so for many years coming up in the faith, as a strong person in the Lord, my relationship with God was communicated based on how my pastor felt about me. And because I was abandoned at a young age, I was rejected at a young age. A sense of worthlessness and a lack of identity and value was instilled in me. So I felt like I had to work to earn love because I wasn't worth being loved. Nobody wanted me. My uncle didn't want to take me fishing. My grandfather, or my mom's dad, didn't want me. He lived down the street. He didn't want anything to do with me. My dad didn't want us, right? So who could possibly love Theo? Who could possibly want Theo? Because he's been abandoned his whole life. So I must need to earn your love by working. And so all of these things, chronic depression, I wouldn't eat for days. Even when we were living in our apartments, Eric, as a freshman, sophomore in Southern Miss, I would come home from work and from church, and I would be on the couch, zoned out. And also that's when my pornography addiction was really skyrocketed. I was 9 years old when I was introduced to pornography from my father's stuff, and many of us know what that is. And I was introduced to that from a traumatic lens. So what pornography would do for me was anytime I hated myself, I was suicidal ideating, I wanted to feel something, porn would do it. Porn would help me to feel something, which is a similar sensation to cutting, right? Needing to feel something because I feel so worthless. I don't know who I am. I don't value who I am. And everybody keeps manipulating me to get something out of me. These things I didn't know about. I didn't understand it at all until I went from being a youth pastor, young adult pastor, associate pastor to senior pastor. In the last, excuse me, 5 or 6 years. Excuse me, one second, guys. And please indulge me. 1 second, let me finish this.
You got it.
It started when I was working in law enforcement and pastoring full time. I've been doing that about 6 or 7 years now. I would lie to my wife and say what time I was coming home to manipulate her not to leave the house. I would manipulate my schedule so she and the kids couldn't go outside to the park in public because I was afraid of the pedophile or the serial killer that we knew was on loose. Because I worked in law enforcement, I had a fear of losing her. I would manipulate our life schedule. I had a fear of her abandoning me or rejecting me. So I would suppress who I truly was. And I would even manipulate how me and her engage each other. Me and her have been married going on 13, 14 years. But in my 30s, I'm manipulating this relationship because of fear of her leaving me. Fear of her. And in the back of my head, I'm always hearing, Theo, you're not worth it. How can she love you? Patrice, when she finally wakes up and realizes just how pathetic and awful and the monster that you are, she's going to leave you. She's too smart. And you don't deserve it. She's too good for you. This is after a decade of being married. Then the way I would pastor my amazing family at our church, the way I would mentor my men and disciple my guys, I would decide when we ate, where we ate at. I would decide when we're going to get together. I was afraid that if I give my church or my awesome family all of my heart, they would definitely break it because I had experienced that pastoring another church before. So I decided to control those situations, and controlling them is not trusting, and controlling is a symptom of fear, and fear comes from trauma. So guys, all this came to a head. I'm getting ready to end just sharing this with you and qualifying everything again because we didn't have a model, right? Nobody knew about this stuff. So what happened was I had my first panic attack on the way to the pulpit in 2017. I panic attack. I hated everything. I felt like God had abandoned us. He had sent us to Charlotte to die. We had been abandoned by the organization of the church that we were with. We had been abandoned by the church people that we had stewarded, and I hated it. God had sent us here to die. And it's me and pornography every night. I'm working 50 hours, so is my wife. We don't have any family and friends up here, so we're just going to die. And so I had a panic attack, but thank God I had a praying woman. So then when we launched our second church, Grace, it really started to show its ugly head. In 2019, and we're all athletes, right? We used to being sexy and hooping and still having it together, even though we old now. We still, want to feel good. I came down with ulcerative colitis. That's an inflammation in my intestines. I was bleeding blood clots, didn't know what they were doing. I got a colonoscopy, didn't see any cancer. I was like, what's going on? I came down with sciatica for the first time. My body locked up for a whole month. It was like electricity shooting down my spine, and I couldn't move. All these things were my body letting me know you're not healthy. You're not right. And so I started being consistent with going to therapy and started to learn about myself and about me and about these triggers. I learned what suicidal ideation was and where it stemmed from. I learned what worthlessness and devaluation was and where it stemmed from. Oh, I learned that, okay, when God made me, here is my equilibrium and the flow that the Holy Spirit keeps me. When I am depressed, that means I'm too low. When I have anxiety or a panic attack, it means I'm too high. What happens is, and what has happened in our community, our African American community, and people that we know even in our own lives, is that when you're in your regular rhythm and your equilibrium is okay, there's a traumatic event that happens. Somebody dies, tragic accident, a breakup, divorce, a tragedy or rejection. Something happens and it shoots you high with anxiety or shoots you low with depression. But because there's no normalization of pursuing mental health, there's no ability to align faith and mental health wellness and emotional health too, because men are supposed to be emotional, but come to find out, it's not because I want sex every night, baby, wifey. It's because I'm also feeling something emotionally. And when you love me, it affirms me emotionally. And I don't feel any lack of rejection that I might have felt from the white man, excuse me, because I got white family members, or from corporate America, or from politics. I've been dealing as a man, I've been dealing with rejection all day long. I need to be accepted for who I am. And so I'm learning these things. What internalization is. Internalization is when we take something that happened outside of us, men, and we make it our fault. It's our fault. We didn't do this. We got to do better. We got to work harder, grind harder, and all of that. Negative projection is when, based on what happened to me in my past, now I'm treating my wife like that, or I'm making movies in my head that don't exist as if they do. And really started to get well and pursue that and go after my health and wellness and stuff like that. So when we speak about these things are passionate to me. I know it took like 50 minutes, y'all. I'm so sorry. But
yeah, that's why we got you on.
Yes, sir. So, and I said, what the experience. So what I'm seeing now in the life of men and what the charge I'm leading is knocking down all these stigmas, these boundaries, these barriers, and normalize like, no, it's okay that you're not okay. You're not okay. Right. And that's okay too. All right. Yeah. And now how do we get right? Not just mentally, but emotionally. Right. How do we help you find your value and your self-worth? How do we go back to you finding your happiness? Because my spouse is not responsible for my happiness. That's not her job. Her job is to support it. It's my job to pursue it and make sure that I feel loved within, because I can't require you to love me if I'm not loving myself and actually putting in that work. So sorry, y'all, took me so long to get to that, but I wanted to share that it's so important that people, and I'm very transparent, very candid. Oh, by the way, I am celebrating 1 year and 1 month of being sober from pornography addiction, which
great,
is huge. Man. I keep my sobriety coin in my pocket. We talk like this at our church. We talk like this around all the people that I minister to, the things we do up here in Charlotte. We normalize transparency, vulnerability. We're very honest. We don't like no fake people at all. If you fake, don't come nowhere around us, because we can't stand your guts. But like us all pursuing it and keeping it 100. And that's what we're about. I even changed my diet. I'm 2 years vegetarian now, or pescatarian, depending on the day. Right. But it's just pursuing that, y'all, and going after it. Because last thing I'll say is this. I'm a lying preacher. It might be my last thing, but somebody take this. I'll say this. Nobody, men, bros, nobody's going to come and rescue us. Nobody's coming to do it for us. Nobody's coming. My father, who's in prison right now, here's a letter I brought for the podcast. See what I'm saying? I'm still writing him as I'm able to manage the boundaries and managing my health and understanding that anybody in my past, and forgive me for my family members who wonder why I don't answer their phone call the first time they call, it's because I have to protect my own wealth and my health, my wellness and my health and my family's, right? So it might take me a day to get back to you so I can make sure that I'm okay when I call you, because anybody in my past, they do not have permission to be my present. That has to be earned. And that's protecting boundaries and things like that. It's a good book I want to recommend called Boundaries by Henry Cloud, and another one called Necessary Endings. And it helps us as men be able to understand pragmatically, some people need to leave out of your life. That doesn't mean they're rejecting you. It's just a season has passed. And the book about boundaries helps you understand that it's your job to protect what the Lord has given you stewardship over. First, it's your soul. Second, it's your family. And you have to give people boundaries and give them expectations. You have to train them how to treat you. And if that means I'm not picking up the phone call the first time you ring, your lack of preparation is not my emergency. If that means that some people they get the email, right? You have to do that so you can be right. Because one thing y'all said, bros, the last thing I'll say, and we can move on, is JP, what you represented is not just for us, but we got to close these doors, man. We got to cut off these generational curses. We got to end that stuff with us. Our dragons of today can't be our sons' demons of tomorrow. Also, our pleasures of today can't be our daughters' demons of tomorrow. We got to nip that junk in the bud right now. And that's what we're helping men do. Sorry, it took me 3 hours to get all that out, but I believe in what was shared.
So quick.
That's great. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was that second book you said? You said Boundaries by Henry Cloud.
Yeah,
and
Henry Cloud.
Henry
Cloud. The other one is Necessary Endings. I think Henry Cloud did that one too. And then it's another book y'all need to get if y'all haven't got already. And you don't have to get it within a religious context. It's just really, really good. It's called Unoffendable. Unoffendable is a good one. And another one is The Emotionally Healthy Leader. That's Peter Scazzaro. And get one for your wife, The Emotionally Healthy Wife. That's a good one too. Because the women folk, they require a lot. They require a lot.
I'm pretty sure Ryder's gonna post all these books on our
facts.
page.
Unoffendable, Necessary Endings, Boundaries, and The Emotionally Healthy Leader. For those of you who are connoisseurs and good readers, you can knock them out. They're just they're great tools. Great tools.
Yeah. And while you was doing your testimony, I didn't want to put too many up there. But we had some comments like congratulations on that year.
Oh, word. Thank you. Year and a month. Year and a month.
Year and a month.
Yeah. Hey, give me that month. Hey, it's a dog fight. Ain't no honey poking around here. It's a dog fight. It's a dog fight. Yeah.
Your wife say, "Let's go, babe." Willie.
Hey, I'm gonna see you in a minute, babe. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, cuz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commerce Real Therapy is a must, and brothers helping brothers.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
This is a hard, honest, well opinion. No one can say outside of the biology or the anatomy of a male what a man is, because it's based off of our own personal perspective. And so, and it's all true, man. And even speaking with you guys, it makes me reminisce a little bit on a conversation me and my wife had, because this past year, 22 was our 10th year anniversary. So going on 11 in February.
Hey,
so,
yes, sir.
Towards the end of this year, we sat down, we was having a conversation going through kind of like these last 10 years and whatnot. And we had to talk about some real emotional things. And, one of the things that I had to understand that I was doing the I'm fine thing. Like, that's what I was doing. I did it all the time. And I had to, it just clicked that day. It clicked, and we talked about it. And I was saying, one of my issues was I just felt like I was trying to be so much for everybody. And like I had to do it at work, I had to do it at home, I had to do it for my family. Like on my dad's side, I'm the oldest grandchild, so I feel like I was the example. And so I feel like I had to be the one to show everybody behind me what you're supposed to do. It was a little pressure because at that point, nobody in my family, males especially my dad's side, had been to college. So it was me being the oldest to be the one. I couldn't fail. Failure wasn't an option because I had to be that example. And so we had to talk through that because I felt like I was being so stern with her that, hey, I'm fine, I'm good. I'm, trying to be something for everybody, be so strong when I really just needed a chance to release. And I can admit that's probably one of the few times my wife would tell you that I honestly sat down and just cried with her because I just released all of it. Yeah. And we had to kind of talk through that and work through that and listen to you guys talk to your therapist and talk to your counselor and whatnot. It's something made me sit here going like, man, not necessarily that something has to be wrong for me to go talk to somebody. At one time, we had some situations where you need to talk to a counselor or therapist because you have some own issues, but it's not that the issues were to a point where, hey, I'm killing myself. Sometimes I just need to go release some of that stuff, not just on my wife, but to somebody else who can say, hey, look at these emotions. You ain't mad, you ain't happy, you something in between,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I
One of them,
appreciate
one
you
of
guys, man, and I appreciate my wife. She just said, I love you too, boo.
Oh,
I
love
love it.
it.
I
Love
love it,
it.
man. Yeah, yeah, man.
But
Oh, go ahead, right?
go ahead. I'm good. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man. I think that most the best feedback from us going on this journey or these journeys is like our significant others, because I know for me, not seeing any example of a healthy marriage or relationship between a man and a woman
Right.
speak of it all. um I always thought that it was my job to protect my wife from my mess, like mentally, emotionally. Like she
That's
just need to
good,
see me
bro.
happy all the
That's
time.
good, bro.
But having the wife that I have, and like the reason why I picked her, and this show you how God work. I picked her because she was the first person to ever make me feel like she genuinely was interested in me.
Wow.
Like not what I could become, not what
Yeah.
what I was, what my, you know, degree was, or what, my potential earning was, but like just interested in me as a person.
Yeah.
And not even knowing what I had that resonated so strong with me. And later on at the therapy, finding out that she wants that part of me, like that broken part, that, like, because for her, that's me sharing my life with her.
Yeah.
And that makes her more comfortable with sharing her life with me. And so that's something that like has been probably one of the biggest kind of 180s as far as how I look at like emotions and sharing emotions and the value. Like it's like think about it, that's our relationship, right? So your relationship is built on experiences, good and bad. And if I'm hiding the parts of myself that have the biggest impact on me from her, then we're not really building our relationship. Like we're not really as close.
Right.
And so that's something that I'd be interested to hear about y'all's significant others' response to y'all, kind of becoming more emotionally intelligent and available.
Yeah. It's a real deal, and something that Theo said in your testimony, especially at the end, and we touched on it
Yeah.
a little bit. I would like for us to talk about it a little bit more. Is the process of cutting those demons out, so that it becomes something a part of our kids. We
Facts.
talked about this a little bit last week. We was talking about some of the girls, younger girls feeling like they have to do everything for the male of the day. And at one time it was the men trying to do everything for the women, and now it seems like the women are trying to do everything for the men. As far as being protectors and providers, and the man is basically saying, "Go do this," and they're doing whatever. And I was saying that at some point we have to get to a point where we teach the little ones that that's not okay, that you can't treat people, whether it's man or woman, you can't treat people like that. And I really do appreciate you saying that, because and I was telling my
Legacy
supervisor,
is everything.
one of my biggest fears is my son growing up, being upset or being mad because of the way he was taught or the way he was treated. He felt like he missed out on something because I missed out on something because I did something different. I just don't want that experience for him. My son is getting ready to go to kindergarten, uh, and then for me, it's not. I know for my wife, it's like, oh, my baby's growing up, but my thing is, I know he's going out to the world. It's different. Like
Facts.
daycare, there was boundaries.
Right.
Daycare, there was somebody sending you a notification every hour about what he's doing. You get all these things. When you go to kindergarten, it's all right. You see him at 3, and
Yeah.
you get a progress report in 6 weeks. And so it's different. So for me, I'm like, I'm trying to make sure that he's not getting labeled. He's
Yeah.
not that he's being protected. That he is being attentive. That he's being respectful and also allowed to grow and still be himself. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
Touch on one thing that Ross said. I'm gonna jump on to something that Theo said. Another thing about kindergarten is only time they say something to you when they're in trouble. So that's the only time you hear something from the school. But one of the greatest joys is when a teacher say that I really like your kid being in my class.
Yeah.
They have a good spirit, or they are really, really respectful. When you hear that from somebody who is not somebody you paying, it's gonna change your life, and you're gonna realize that, hey, I may be doing something right. But with Theo said so much, and I'm sitting here just writing. I'm trying to meditate on it later. But he said it's not our job wise to make us happy. It's her job to support, but it's our job to pursue it.
Yes.
That's deep. Yeah. That's extremely deep. So I appreciate those words, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. On the fathering tip, parenting tip, like I don't let Theophilus IV play certain video games. I know he's gonna be a gamer because gaming is in our family. We're nerds. That's cool. But I'm so anal about what I'm exposing him to, because he's already gonna have his own dragons to fight. First of all, the purpose God put on his life, it's like in a video game, you're gonna have a hero, you're gonna have a villain. There's gonna be some devil or some negative entity that was designed to be the antagonist. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. The antagonist, right? So he already got that. On top of that, he's black in America. And yes, he has a white side of his family. Yes, he comes out of a great home. Yes, the people will know him as Pastor Theo's son. But he gonna have his own stuff. So I'm trying to mitigate as much as I can. And like one of my mentors, one of my pastoral advisors, Pastor Courtney Wright, shout out to her, and out of Atlanta. She was like, baby, you got to close them doors. You got to close them doors. And so a lot of my inspiration for that fight is not just to love my wife and be a better husband and love her the way she deserves to be loved. But a lot of my fight, man, is like, I don't want my children battling my stuff, because it had Saul. Here's a biblical context. You go preachers again. Because if Saul had did what he was supposed to do, David wouldn't have had to deal with his stuff, right?
Right.
And that's just the thing. So yeah, I got more to say. I'll park it right there.
And if David would have dealt with his stuff, Solomon would have to deal with his stuff, right?
You see what I'm saying?
And if Solomon did what he did, and his son, I can't
let go.
His son when it divided the kingdom, right?
Do y'all know the studies? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the studies show that children who grow up in a single parent home are more likely not to have issues when they're raised by the father.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about that.
Y'all know that?
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Now, the woman is a superwoman. Nobody can do what our wives can do. They have the only gift of the miraculousness of I made that word up, of bringing life into this world and raising life, even raising us. My wife has raised me. You feel me? But without the presence of a father in the life of a child, it's just a whole different dynamic. And so even shout out to the single moms. Nobody can do what y'all did. You're the real MVP, but it's different. It's different. And we as fathers have to be intentional, man, about shutting them doors and fully prepare our kids, like you said, big bro, for the real world, because it's cold out there. It's cold out here. It's cold out here.
And it's so true today. One thing that I'm not saying that people don't say it, but you don't hear it often. Oh, you have mama issues. No, it's normally you have daddy issues.
Yeah.
It was his absence or the things that he did. It ain't normally, not saying that it never, but normally it's not you have mama issues. It's daddy issues. And so, getting some of those things changed and some of those doors closed. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. And that's been known for a long time. I can't remember the philosopher, but this was like, man, maybe like Socrates era, but like even back then they were saying, especially for a young girl, like it's tragic for a girl to grow up without her father.
Yeah.
Like it's like the impact of having a man, and of course there's context, with throughout history. At a certain point, without a man, you couldn't, like, you had no representation, right? You had no protection, but I think that's a part of the threat now, which is I think kind of the false idea that you don't need a man. And I think that
That's
you have a
another
lot
one
of
of them.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, you have a lot of people that are falling prey to that, but there's so much evidence that shows you it's just better all around.
Yeah.
Like obviously there are some toxic men, who like you said, who kind of perpetuate their trauma on their families, but if you have a man that's, trying, dedicated, loyal, who is responsible, takes their responsibility serious, I mean, it's just it just changes everything.
Absolutely.
Gotta make sure you put the man that's doing right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chasing after God, because that's where we get the ultimate leadership from. So
absolutely.
We don't get it from them, they're gonna get it from TV.
Right.
For sure.
Social media.
Yeah.
Speaking of TV, I saw this thing about Beyonce. I know everybody got their opinion about Beyonce, whatever. So whatever. But the thing about Beyonce, the guy was saying that Beyonce, especially for our younger women, or maybe even our women in our generation, she's selling them a false hope. And folks are like, "What are you talking about?" And so she got this. No, she got the thing about you can do it by yourself. To the left, to the left. I can find another one. I can I'm
Place you in a minute.
Who Run the World, girls, and all this. He said, but
irreplaceable.
And so, but at the end of the day, all this stuff she's saying about, she did the exact opposite. Her husband cheated on her. She didn't leave him.
Oh yeah.
She went and married somebody. At the time when she got married, it was an upgrade. It wasn't she was making all at the time, she's making the amount of money she's making now is
right.
Crazy that she wouldn't need him. But at that time when she married Jay-Z, she wasn't she didn't have a beehive then. She was just out of Destiny Child. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like all that single things of not having to have a man and this and that people are seeing is not what they're doing. They're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah. I gotta find a post. It was somebody made a compilation of specifically music artists, and that's a whole conspiracy theory as far as the messaging and why certain people get played, why certain ones don't. But basically there's a compilation of specifically female artists who had songs kind of perpetuating the I can basically I can do bad by myself, I'm the baddest, and I don't need nobody, and then pictures of what they do in their real life as far as what they mean, like they in the kitchen cooking or kind of catering to a guy. And in some of the cases the guy wasn't even all that, like he was in a lot of cases like what we wouldn't consider like a real man. And so I think there's definitely some contradiction that's being perpetuated if you just listen to the music.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. And so I want to leave us with this. One of the things I think, Chance, you talked about a little bit. We kind of made a quick joke before the show, but I don't know if you saw it, Theo. But he asked a question: why do especially Black men not go to therapy but start a podcast and willing to talk? Willing to talk about it. But not go to therapy. And what his question, he saw it somewhere, and and I made fun of it, and I'll tell what I said. I said because it's cheaper to start a podcast to go to therapy.
Yeah.
But it's a real question, and it's not necessarily start a podcast, but why do we choose to do everything else but the one thing that could potentially help you by going to
that's an easy one. The great Professor Beast from X-Men answered this back in the day on Fox in the cartoons. He said humans fear what they don't understand and they hate what they fear. And and I'll companion that with the scripture. The Bible teaches us to love our neighbor and then to love our wife, men, as we love ourselves. The reason why we have proclivities, such as starting a podcast and actually not going to therapy, is because we're afraid of what we don't know. And we don't love ourselves. So it's easy to hide behind duty. It's the same thing when you see men get 2 or 3 jobs. I understand 2 jobs. I understand the hustle and the grind. I've been there. But sometimes we work to hide, or we medicate on obligations or production, or we create things to avoid what's really going on, versus saying, you know what, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, I really don't know who I am. I'm really struggling. And let me go and discover and seek professional help and helping me to unearth what I can't articulate. And we do it with fashion. We do it with accessories. We just medicate because we're afraid of what we don't understand. And because we struggle loving ourselves, we end up hating ourselves. So let me just avoid what I hate and what I don't understand and go try to feel. Let me try to feel by performing. That's another thing too. Here's a cheat code, ladies, wives. Your husband, we're wired to perform. Shout out to Blue Chew and Royal Honey. We're wired to perform. Yeah, JP didn't see that one coming.
I did not see that.
But we're wired, right. Yeah, we're wired to perform. So anytime we're not performing, we're going to go and create something to fill that void. And that's where you come in, wives, to affirm us emotionally that we are enough, and you want just us. So if you were just in that thing 30 seconds, she's good. She still loves you. Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, hey, tomorrow I gotta come back. Give me some steroids or something. This ain't gonna work.
Put me in,
or I'm
coach.
Or I'm gonna go start a company now because I have issues emotionally. Y'all see what I'm saying? I wasn't valedictorian, so I'm gonna go and start a church. Right? You see what I'm saying? It's so those same things.
Yeah. JP, Eric, Terrence.
He took the words out of my mouth. I was just gonna say pride and defend. Because pride as a man, pride. I mean, your pride is not gonna let you be humble. And like you said, creating the podcast. Well, the podcast is a way for you to say what you want to say, but it also give you a chance to defend your point without being told you're wrong. And then going back to what Theo was saying, just hiding. We try to do so much stuff to try to hide behind the mask. Right. When in reality, we just need to pull the mask off and just, be true to ourselves. Yes. But great point, yes. Theo. I can't, you took the words out of my mouth. So good job.
Yeah, big bro, that's it.
Yeah. The thing you said that resonated with me was the idea, the concept of us being commanded to love our wives the way we love ourselves. I think it assumes out the gate that we love ourselves enough to love our wives properly. Right. That's a point that we have to fight to get back to, where we actually love ourselves enough to love our wives the way they need to be loved. Because that's what I know. For a while, what I was given wasn't good enough, and it wasn't. It wasn't a choice. It was a limitation of capability. Like, because I didn't love myself enough to, take account of what, is going on with me emotionally, mentally, not just, Lord. Not just like, oh, wow, I work, I keep a job. I got a good job. That's not, that's not love. That's not enough. You got to take care of yourself. Even, when it comes down to, the old kind of stereotype of especially black men, like not going to the doctor. Like, you don't love yourself enough to take care of at least your body. Like, you ain't even gotta figure that out. You can just go and tell somebody else what's wrong and they'll figure it out. But we don't even, for the longest, we didn't even love ourselves enough to do that. So I definitely think that's a good way to look at it. Like the better you love yourself, the more capable you are of loving your wife.
Eric, can I say this? Eric, you just said you're right, but it go back to the old stereotypical way of what a man's supposed to do. A man don't supposed to get sick. He don't supposed to, you got to fight through it. You got to do this. People put it in our mind that, like you said, about loving yourself, taking care of your body, treating your body with respect. We weren't taught that. You got to be the hard, rough nose. Oh, you break your finger. It's all right. Suck it up. Go ahead and do it. But those are the things that were instilled in you as what a man's supposed to do, what a man's supposed to be about. Being a man. Like we talked about last week. Kid get hurt. Suck it up, be a man. But like I said, you got to break that stigma.
Yeah, let me say this. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, you good. I was just agreeing with JP.
Oh, gotcha. Cheat code for wives. If you're already not doing this, amazing, incredible wives and moms, you are superhuman. Nobody can do what you do. The cheat code is send your man away 2 to 3 times a year. 2 or 3 days, not even long. Send him away. Let him go away from the house, the kids, job. Send him with a box of cigars, some pictures of you where he can think about you while he's gone.
Yeah, make him better.
Yeah. and invest in his Sabbath. Invest in his exploration of still discovering himself. You see what I'm saying? How God designed it, y'all, is that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. Yeah, and he should cleave. Yeah. But the truth is that we should never stop discovering the first vision God made when he first made us. I don't stop pursuing who I am just because me and my wife are becoming one. He still has a plan for me individually. And so my wife supports me in that, supports me in me pursuing my happiness, what I like, what adventures do I need to go on? Do I like fishing? Send him away with the guys you can trust. Go, pay for the fishing trip. Let him go and rekindle his self-worth, his self-happiness, his contentment, his rest, and his love for himself. Kindle that. And I promise you will see a substantial increase in his performance, emotionally present, physically consistent, spiritually affirming, everything you need him to be in more, allow him that time. When my father-in-law, who recently passed, and we're still grieving, when he was he had a crisis at the hospital. It was very bad. He had coded that day, aspiration risk at the time. That was the weekend of my sabbatical. I was going away for my birthday weekend to get away. And I was also at the time battling, I know my symptoms of burnout and compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is when you are empty of the gas you need to take care of other people because you've served too much. You've triaged too many traumas. You have carried too much emotional baggage and you have no gas in the tank. You are done. You're burnt out. And I knew again, mental health and awareness. I knew I was at a breaking point because I was uptight. I was cringy. I was angry. I was short, and I was aggressive with my 3-year-old son, even though he's bad at toilet water. You know what I'm saying? And I was uptight. I was hating everything. And I left Patrice a long message. I said, if you don't let me get away this weekend, I know you need me because you don't know if Dad's going to live. I know it's a horrible time to leave you, but I said, if you can understand this. We don't know how long Dad's going to live, but your husband is going to be there, and your husband is not healthy. He is not healthy. If you don't let me go, I'm going to hate you. I'm going to hate my job. I'm going to hate our kids. I'm going to hate our church because I know I'm not healthy. And ultimately, if I stay here with you, I will hate myself. And my wife, this incredible woman, had enough girth in her while in a crisis with her daddy. Let me get away for 2 days, 3 days and 2 nights, to come back home restored and be able to go through warfare more with her. So wives, encourage your husbands to go on a guy trip, a bros trip, send him away, get him an Airbnb, right? Somewhere where he can just have time to hear his own thoughts and clear his head and have time for himself. And also husbands, do it for your wives too. But it's pivotal. I know we're gonna be rapping soon, Rod. I'm sorry. I text myself some bullet points because some things I want to just leave for everybody who's watching and listen, who will watch and listen. But this stuff is critical. It's crucial. If you send him away, he's going to come back a better version of himself. Everything you need to be, and watch his output, because you invested into his wellness.
It's so funny. Karen check down there. My plane leaves tomorrow.
Karen said,
I leave tomorrow at 7. I'll be gone until Monday evening. So
gonna be the best thing she ever did, bro.
And so yeah, and it's true. I'm actually going to San Antonio tomorrow at 7, and I won't be back until Monday night. So
let's go.
Yeah.
That time is critical, man. But that also goes back to, emotional awareness and understanding. Like now, that's something that makes perfect sense. Like the value in that is obvious. But growing up, I remember when I got my first job. If your brain fell out your head, you still need to show up to work. Like it don't matter. You show up to work and you bring your brain in the bag. Like and that's how you that's how you earn respect. Is by showing up no matter how sick you are, no matter how bad you feel. And I feel like that's one of the blessings that came out of COVID is, people having to focus on hygiene and just self-health. Like, hey, you got a cough? Well, chill out. You got a fever? Like, hey, I need for you to go ahead and go home and handle that.
Yeah.
Like it forced the culture to change around being sick around other people.
Facts.
And I think that kind of pivots to mental health too. Like if you mentally or emotionally, sick, not necessarily like, have a issue, but just like you need to recharge. Like your tank is on empty. Like being aware of that and addressing that before you go interact with people is just as important.
Facts.
All right, man. We're gonna get ready to wrap it up. Man, this been outstanding. This is part 2, so I already know a part 3 is coming. It's so much more that we could talk about. We, for the most part, talked about our mental state, and we hadn't even got to each other spiritually. That's a whole nother level of who we need to be as men, especially as leaders. Christ being the leader that he was, and we're trying to be spitting images of him. But I'm not gonna go into that because we'll be up another hour and a half. But before we go, I want to give anybody an opportunity to give their final thought, and we're gonna end with Pastor Theo. And I want you to kind of give us your final thoughts, some of the things that you're doing.
Yes, sir.
I actually got your site up, man. I want to kind of share the screen so people can kind of see that as well. And and just want to kind of get that total opportunity. So
yes, sir.
And I'm not saying anybody has to say, but if you have something, JP, Terrence, Eric, go for it.
I got one closing thought. Theo forgot one book that he didn't mention. Jump. That's a really great book.
Yes, sir.
If y'all haven't read Jump by Pastor Theo,
yes, sir.
Awesome. JP, Eric.
Hey man, I just go ahead, JP.
All right, go ahead.
Nah, I was just gonna say, man, it's warm my heart, man, just hearing people, specifically black men, just discussing topics like this, man. Like the ability to just kind of it's almost like therapy being here.
Yeah.
In a sense, man, just getting stuff off the chest and normalizing it.
Yeah, facts.
True. And like I said, I'm gonna turn over to Theo, I'm sorry, but mental health is real. And like I said, it's no reason to make it smaller than what it is. It can ruin us, it can kill us, it can take us out. And it's something that we all need to face. So like I said, like you just said, man, it's good. It's good emotional because we all go through it. And we can't pretend like we live on earth that we don't. So we all go through it. So it's good to share it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as we pass it to Theo, I want to take a quick second to thank everybody for taking some time out to watch again. We appreciate you guys. Lots of comments, man. We ask you to continue to watch and continue to share, continue to love. We're going to do more and more of these. We may even get a couple of ladies on. You never know. You never know what might happen in Apartment 4A. But at this time, we want to hand it over to Pastor Theo. And I'm going to share the screen on your site, man. I can move anything you like. And then just anything you want to leave with us, anything you got coming up. It's all on you.
For sure. Appreciate it. Thanks again, guys, for having me. So, guys, I appreciate Rod giving me the floor one time to share. So I'm going to share some of the things that we're doing here, not only in the city of Charlotte, but in other states, what we're building, and things I found successful in my path. And we are not high and mighty. We haven't made it there yet. We are not perfect. And we don't want any perfect people around us. So everything I'm going to share, it's a practice and it's a dog fight. You got to be totally committed to. So first thing I told you guys about my I literally gave you my journey from childhood trauma to becoming whole, becoming well. So the second thing I want to talk about is my Grace family, my community. We don't like to use the word church because it's only one church. It's only one kingdom. And what we are at Grace is just a part of the kingdom. And we're a family here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Grace Church Charlotte. You can check us out at graceclt.com. But for the last 4 years, we've ingratiated the pursuit of wellness, spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally into the church ministry. So every November and throughout the year, we have a series called Becoming Whole. You can check it out on YouTube, where we don't do any preaching or teaching. What we do is we bring in clinicians, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, and we bring them in during that entire month, and we normalize pursuing your health along with your faith, and show you that they actually coincide, and just normalize, get rid of all the stigmas. I'm so proud of my Grace family because somewhere near north of 50 to 60 active members, probably 60% of them are pursuing their health and wellness. Some of us even share the same therapist, and just seeing them blossom, because not everything is a demon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some things are a distraction, right? And some things you can't pray out, you got to work through. The Lord does heal. He really does. But sometimes you have to do the work yourself. And healing happens best with honesty. And what professionals help you do is help you to be able to define what's happening. So now you can attack it spiritually. You can pray better. You can be more specific because you understand what's going on in your body. That's what it is. So going to a therapist or a counselor family is not a bad thing. It's an amazing thing, because God has people in that field now, and they can help you unearth or unpack what's going on the inside and put together a plan for you. I even got a chiropractor I go to now, and he put me on a plan to get my sciatica right. Then that way I avoided surgery, right? That's important. A principle I leave with married couples, we share this a lot in our marriage ministries with a lot of couples we minister to and help them to come back to, is that we got to get out of this car maintenance mentality, right? We only take our car to the mechanic when something's wrong. We have a lot of reactive maintenance. We don't have any preventive maintenance, right? And so that's how we do our health. That's how we do our marriages. We wait until something's wrong, then go get it fixed. No, be preventive, right? Go ahead of time. Go while things are good, and check under the hood of what's going on, and then put in the work. So another thing that I do, I have been doing this for 4 years. It's called BroFest. You may have heard it. You can go to theoschaffer.com/BroFest or glegacy.org/BroFest. It's our men's wellness retreat. Every year, I have a group of about 50 men, old, young, black, and white, from New York to Atlanta to Mississippi, Alabama, and here in North Carolina. We go off in the woods, in the cabins in the woods, and for 3 days, we're hiking, fishing, hooping, playing cards, spades, playing ball, and we're grilling, we're eating, and in between all those fun activities all weekend long, we're working out together. We're having sessions, like powerful, transparent, vulnerable sessions, centered around your spiritual development, your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health. And every year we send men back home, restored, revived, strengthened, equipped. And this year, BroFest is actually going to be in Atlanta, in August the 25th. We're probably going to have a BroFest one-day event, probably close to the Birmingham area, and one here in Charlotte. But it's transformational. We have over 100 men over the last 3 to 4 years who are the best version of themselves now because they've attended this men's wellness retreat. And starting February the 15th, Wednesday night, we're going to be opening up our Wellness Wednesday Zooms where all the men can jump on a Zoom and just share with one another and break bread together and do book club together. And BroFest is an amazing thing. It's out of our Legacy Community Development Corporation, and it's a component of my ministry as well. And I just have a heart and a passion for men and young men getting right. Also, what I do, I am a spiritual wellness consultant for first responders. For our Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department here in Charlotte, I'm the Employee Spiritual Wellness Director, and I oversee training and development and spiritual pursuit for police officers. But if you also are a firefighter or a medic, we have programs for TheoSchaffer.com that allow us to train, equip, inspire, and help you in your spiritual wellness, because first responders are seeing humanity at their worst 5 times a day on average, right? Who's going to take care of them, right? And so we do that. We work alongside. We have a great team of people that help people in their spiritual resilience and how they can be better husbands, better wives, better fathers, mothers, have a modicum of a regular life while living in a trauma-informed environment. And so last thing is that we've got a couple of resources. If you're a spiritual leader or a pastor, a lot of pastors just dying, y'all. We're dying because we're expected to be Superman. We're expected to have it all together. We got all the answers, and we're supposed to be perfect all the time. And that's not the case. And so we got resource for that too. So you guys hit me up on our website. All right. So tools I'm going to leave with you. All right, family. So here's some things that I do to fight for my health and my wellness, and I want to share them with you. Number one, develop an infrastructure. This is what I mean. My infrastructure is my support system. Number one, it's my wife. If you're single or you want to get remarried, make sure you marry somebody that's loyal. She ain't got to be like super religious or super saved or whatever if you're not into that. But if you are, have a woman of God that prays, but make sure she's loyal. Loyalty in the sense of she's fully committed to supporting you or your journey, even when it's in the pits. She's down with you. My wife is the best ever because she was with me when I was broke and unhealthy. Back when she was paying my cell phone bill in Mississippi to seeing me become who I am today. She's loyal. And so this part of my support system is I have a therapist. Shout out to my therapist, Casey. Love you, girl. And my Grace family. If you're a Christian, if you're in that frame of faith, and I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. And there's gonna be a lot of churches that will hate me for saying this, but if your church, if you've outgrown it, if you're stagnant, if there's not more, and if they don't have a culture of transparency, vulnerability, friendships, of pursuing health and wellness and spirituality on a practical, reasonable, understandable level, where you and the pastor can dap it up and go get. I have Bible studies at the barbershop, at Buffalo Wild Wings, at the gun range. Shoot, I would have a Bible study at Hooters if my wife would let me. But like, if you don't have that community around you, you need to pray about moving to a shift in a different direction, because a lot of those traditional churches, they're not going to survive the next 3 decades. Yeah. You heard it here first. And then my Grace family, they allow me to be one of their awesome pastors and allow me not to be Superman. They know I'm imperfect. They know my flaws, and they go through my flaws with me. They both reverence me as their pastor, as their spiritual leader, and they also understand my humanity, and they love me for it. They love me for my brokenness, and they allow me to be jacked up, right? And then they celebrate me for my efforts, and it's a good model for them. I talked about sabbaticals, guys. Schedule days you can get away. Schedule days for your wife. Keep the kids, let her get away. Then y'all flip it. Then, you get away. You need those. And last two tools. Number one is grounding. Men, whenever we get home from work or we get off our headset working remotely, find something that means something to you, like a picture or like your wife's hair or your kids or food or a fresh meal. It's the thing that I do. It's gonna sound weird, but whenever I get home from work, because of what I do in law enforcement, I embrace my wife and we kiss and I smell her hair. It reconfigures my senses, my senses to let me know I'm home and I'm safe. And that way I can be present with her. I can be fully present with her and the kids versus being that man or that husband or that daddy that's here physically, but he checked out, right? So practice grounding, a way to recenter yourself. Walk outside barefooted, we country anyway, and recenter yourself so you can be fully present. And the last tool I give you guys is to live in honesty. live in honesty. Live in honesty holds me accountable because the first person I'm not lying to is myself. I have to be honest with myself. Theo, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? What happened? Guys, it could be the fact that I lost the game in 2K and I'm pissed, right? I'm hot, or in Call of Duty, right? Okay, Theo, is that why you up to do something stupid? Okay, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? What's going on? Let's pinpoint it, and let's be honest about that, right? And that level of accountability allows you to make really clear-cut and wise decisions, like sleeping on it before you make a decision, checking in with your infrastructure, right? Because how high you go depends on how deep you establish your infrastructure. All right. That's all I got. Sorry it took 5 hours. But yeah, if y'all do that, man, if y'all work that, y'all connect with us, we got you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And with that, man, we want to say again, thank you so much for Pastor Theo for coming on. We really do appreciate you, man. You are a brother to us. I know you and Eric's family, but we all met you down at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for
yes, sir.
being here. And like always, we want to thank everybody for taking some time out to hang with us tonight on Wednesday. Thank you guys for the comments. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you for the wives that are on in the comments to give us support. And like always, man, you ain't got to go home, but you gotta get up out of here.
Peace.
Just kind of jumped out of nowhere. He was like, "Hey man, you stuck it out there," and I was like, "Still pushing CDs.
How much you pay for this? You losing money."
People that smack while they eat.
Definitely psycho.
Like it's something that
I was sitting right beside the woman. You know, it's just that y'all ain't a bitch deep.
Check us out on YouTube, and we'll be going live on Facebook next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until next time, guys, we'll holler at you. Peace.